Beloved, if these words are reaching you right now, let them arrive without resistance. You don't need to analyze why you're here or question whether this moment is meant for you. It already is. There are seasons when life pulls us forward with noise and urgency, and there are moments like this, quieter, slower, where something deeper draws us in. This is one of those moments, not because you were searching, but because you were ready. Ready to receive something that doesn't demand effort, explanation, or performance. Ready to be reminded of a truth your soul already knows, but your body is still learning how to trust. For a long time, you lived as if you had to stay alert to survive. Your shoulders learned tension before they learned rest. Your breath shortened, not because you were weak, but because life taught you to brace yourself. You learned how to anticipate pain before it arrived, how to prepare for disappointment before it had a chance to surprise you. That kind of living doesn't come from imagination. It comes from experience. It comes from having to stay strong longer than anyone should have to. And yet, hear this gently and clearly. You are not being asked to live that way anymore. There was a time when vigilance was necessary, when staying guarded was how you made it through. But that time has passed. The struggle that tried to define you, to label you by what you endured, has already been answered. The outcome has been decided, not by human opinion or circumstance, but by something far more stable. The fight that consumed your energy, your thoughts, your nights, has reached its conclusion. And now there is an invitation standing quietly in front of you. An invitation not to do more, but to release. Not to prove your strength again, but to lay it down. Not to prepare for the next blow, but to recognize that the blows have stopped. Rest is not being offered to you as a reward you have to earn. It is being offered because the work that required constant endurance is complete. You may still feel echoes of the past in your body. Old memories don't vanish just because the season changes. Your nervous system learned survival deeply, and it doesn't forget overnight. There may be moments when your heart still races for no clear reason, when your mind scans for threats that aren't there anymore. That doesn't mean the battle isn't over. It means you lived through it. Healing often begins with recognizing that the danger has passed, even while your body is still catching up to the truth. Victory is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it shows up quietly as persistence, as survival, as the simple, undeniable fact that you are still here. What was meant to end you did not succeed. What tried to wear you down until nothing was left failed. And the fact that you are breathing, listening, receiving right now is not small. It is evidence. There were nights you don't talk about, nights when the weight of everything felt heavier than sleep, nights when your thoughts circled endlessly, replaying mistakes, fears, worst-case scenarios, trying to find a way to feel safe again. There were mornings when getting up felt like an act of courage, even if no one else could see it. Days when you showed up on instinct alone, unsure how you would keep going, but choosing to do it anyway. That kind of endurance doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from being held when you didn't even realize you were being supported. Something steadier than your own strength carried you through moments that should have broken you. You were preserved, not because you had all the answers, but because the story wasn't finished. Now something has shifted. You may sense it without being able to fully explain it. The same fears don't cling the way they used to. The same patterns don't pull you in with the same force. Things that once consumed your energy feel strangely distant. Peace has begun to find space in your life, even if the world around you is still loud. That's not coincidence, that's closure. When a long battle finally ends, there is often a strange quiet afterward. At first, it can feel unsettling. When you've lived under constant pressure, calm can feel unfamiliar, even undeserved. You might wonder if it's safe to relax, if something else is about to go wrong. But this is where trust begins to replace survival. This is where rest becomes possible. Rest does not mean everything will suddenly be perfect. Life will continue to bring challenges, choices, responsibilities. But the specific war that hunted you, the one that tried to erase your sense of self and convince you that exhaustion was your normal state, no longer has authority over you. It followed you for a long time because it could. It no longer can. You didn't escape it by luck. You outlasted it. And that changes the meaning of where you are now. You are not simply moving into another chapter of effort and endurance. You are stepping into a season marked by recognition. Not loud applause or instant validation, but a deep, settled acknowledgement that what you carried mattered, that what you endured was seen. You stayed when leaving would have been easier. You held on to integrity when compromise felt like the safer option. You kept going without reassurance, without guarantees, without visible reward. And that kind of faithfulness leaves a mark, even when no one else is watching. Recognition doesn't always arrive immediately or dramatically. Sometimes it shows up as alignment, as doors opening without force, as peace replacing urgency, as a quiet confidence that no longer needs to explain itself. The world may take time to catch up, but the truth has already been established. You are no longer living from desperation. You are living from completion. This is where your relationship with yourself begins to change. You don't need to keep replaying battles that are already finished. You don't need to wear armor that protected you in a different season. You don't need to approach every situation as if danger is imminent. Survival taught you many things, but it doesn't get to define your future. You are allowed to set some habits down. You are allowed to breathe without bracing. You are allowed to move through life with an ease that doesn't apologize for itself. Peace may feel unfamiliar at first, but unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It simply means new. You are not being asked to prove how strong you are anymore. You already did that, over and over again. Now you are being invited to live like someone who made it through. That invitation reshapes everything. It changes how you pray, not from panic, but from trust. It changes how you love, not from fear of loss, but from wholeness. It changes how you see yourself, not as someone constantly catching up, but as someone grounded and secure. You don't need to earn worth anymore. You don't need to hustle for belonging. You are already chosen, already held, already enough. Let this truth settle deeply. The anxiety that still tries to scan for the next problem is an echo, not a warning. The restlessness that whispers you should be doing more is a habit, not a command. Those voices belong to a season that has ended. They don't get to lead you anymore. What belongs to you now is stability. What belongs to you now is freedom. What belongs to you now is a steady rest that doesn't come from avoidance, but from security. Rest is not laziness. It is what strength looks like when it no longer has to fight. When a war finally ends, the body doesn't always know it right away. You carried tension for so long that it became normal. Hypervigilance became familiar. Waiting for the next problem felt responsible. But you don't have to live that way anymore. You are safe to rest. Rest doesn't mean disengaging from life. It means releasing the belief that everything will fall apart if you stop pushing. It means trusting that what you carried past the finish line doesn't need to be carried forever. Rest is trust in motion. Think of someone who has finished a long, grueling journey. No one questions their need to pause. No one accuses them of weakness for sitting down. The distance behind them speaks for itself. That's you. You traveled a road many never see. You endured storms that were meant to empty you completely. And the fact that you are still here is proof enough that your endurance was real. Rest is not optional now. It is necessary. It is preparation, not stagnation. It is how you sustain what comes next. You are not in constant danger anymore. You are not one mistake away from losing everything. You are not under a sentence of endless exhaustion. Survival tried to convince you that alertness had to be your identity, but something truer is being offered to you now. Rest is becoming your inheritance. When you live from that place, everything begins to shift. You stop rushing to prove yourself. Opportunities find you without force. You stop chasing validation from people who never truly saw you. You stop explaining your heart to those committed to misunderstanding you. Rest quiets desperation, and desperation was the last chain still holding on. When that chain loosens, your spirit settles. You begin to care without fear. You take responsibility without panic. You make decisions without believing everything depends on you alone. You start letting what was never yours to carry be carried for you. This is not poetic language. This is a promise woven into the way life is meant to work. You were never meant to exist in constant warfare. You were meant to move in rhythms. Seasons of effort, yes, but also seasons of receiving. This is one of those seasons. Notice the small invitations into rest already present in your life. Moments of quiet that feel full instead of empty. Peace that arrives without explanation. Calm that doesn't demand justification. Even if joy feels unfamiliar, even if stillness feels strange, that doesn't mean something is wrong. It means your inner world is adjusting. Your body and mind are learning how to live in a reality where the threat has passed. Be patient with yourself. You practiced survival for a long time. Now you are learning rest. Rest will not make you soft, it will make you clear. You think better when you're not exhausted. You love deeper when you're not guarded. You build stronger when you're not constantly repairing damage. This shift is not about taking something away from you. It's about giving you sustainability. You were never meant to pay for peace with your health or well-being. Love was never meant to feel like another battlefield. This rest is sacred. It is restoration. It is permission. So tonight, allow yourself to close your eyes without guilt. Allow your breath to deepen without fear. Allow yourself to smile without waiting for something to go wrong. You are not falling behind because you are resting. You are not losing momentum by slowing down. You are aligning with a healthier rhythm. Trust at its deepest level looks like rest, and you are already learning how to live there. You are not reaching for safety from a distance. You are already held. You are already here. Let that be enough for now. Beloved, do not take this moment lightly. If you have arrived here, it means that somewhere deep within you, something has already begun to settle. This is not a sudden calm, but a steadiness that comes after long exhaustion. A steadiness that does not announce itself loudly, but slowly makes room inside you. You may not have put words to it yet, but you have felt it. Something has been changing lately. The same circumstances, the same people, the same responsibilities, yet your inner response is no longer the same. Things that once shook you no longer grip you in the same way. This is not coincidence. It is a sign that you are no longer living only to endure. You are entering a new state, one where you do not have to fight to prove yourself at every step. When a person lives for a long time just to survive, they often forget when living is supposed to begin. Every day becomes a mission. Every morning feels like a test. That is how you lived. You ignored your exhaustion, minimized your pain, and gave it smaller names just so you could keep moving. You told yourself not now, later, and later stretched on for far too long. But now the moment has arrived where you no longer need to feel guilty for slowing down. This pause is not failure, it is the natural next stage of a journey you have already completed. There may still be moments when old anxiety returns without warning. Your heart may race for no clear reason. Your mind may scan the future for threats as if searching for danger. This does not mean danger is present. It means your mind lived in that language for a long time. It is still learning that not every calm is followed by a storm. Not every silence is a trap. Sometimes silence is simply rest, and rest means you are safe. You have carried so much alone, burdens no one ever asked you about. You fulfilled responsibilities with a smile, while fatigue quietly accumulated inside you. You learned how to be strong for others because you believed that was your role. But that role is slowly coming to an end. You are not being asked to abandon everything. You are simply being told that you no longer have to carry everything on your own shoulders. Some things were never meant to be yours, yet you held them anyway. Now you are allowed to set them down. There is something unsettling about peace when struggle begins to fade. At first it can feel like emptiness, as if something is missing. When pain stays long enough, it becomes part of your identity, and when it begins to leave, the mind asks, "Who am I now?" Do not be afraid of that question. It is not a question of loss, it is a question of possibility. You are no longer only someone who endures, you are becoming someone who understands that peace itself is a form of strength. Notice how you no longer react as quickly as you once did. You no longer take everything personally. You no longer feel the urgency to prove your place everywhere you go. This is not indifference, it is maturity. It is the sign of an inner stability that appears when you realize your worth is not decided by someone else's response. You are grounded within yourself now, and that is the deepest change of all. You may also notice that certain relationships, habits, and constant rushing no longer feel natural. What once felt necessary now feels heavy. That is okay. Every new season dismantles some old structures.